Welcome back to my OpenTK platformer tutorial. My name is Sil, and in this part we're going to be creating our own game class. We're going to be drawing quadrilaterals, and then we're also going to be loading a texture and drawing that as well. If you followed along in our last video, you should have something similar to this. All we have is one project with a reference to OpenTK and system.drawing, and a program.cs. And in that main function in the program.cs, we initiate a game window and call its run function. We're actually going to get rid of these two lines because we're going to replace it with our own class. So let's get started and make our own game class. You're going to want to go over and right click on your project, select add, class, and name this class. I'm going to name my class game. And now Visual Studio has created this class for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our class inherit from the GameWindow class in OpenTK. And now I know I haven't put using OpenTK at the top, so it won't like this. It's going to give me an error. One thing I want to note is that Visual Studio has a really nice function where you can right click on that and select resolve using OpenTK, and it will automatically include that at the top there. Now in our game class, we want to create a constructor, so we're going to do public game, and we'll pass in the width and height, and we'll pass that to the base. We also need to override three other functions here, so we're going to do protected, override, void, on loading, or on load. And if we hit enter there, Visual Studio will automatically complete all of that for us and call the base function there as well. We're going to do protected, override, void on update frame. And lastly, we're going to do protected, override, void on on render frame. And these are going to be our three main functions that we're going to put all of our game code into. Now that we have the skeleton of our game class, we can go back to our program class. So instead of game window, we're just going to do game window equals new game, open parentheses, we'll make it 640 by 480. And then we're going to do window.run. And since game is a child of game window, it still has this function run. And now if we run this, we'll get exactly the same thing we did before. However, this is our game class now. Now let's try clearing the screen here. In order to do this, we're going to go to the top and add using OpenTK.graphics.OpenGL. And then in the onRenderFrame function, we're going to do gl.clear. And it's going to ask us for a clear buffer mask. We're going to do clear buffer mask dot color buffer bit. And this is telling it we want to clear the color bit of our buffer. Now in order for that to actually show up on the screen, we need to do this dot swap buffers. And this swaps the buffer that's currently showing on the screen and the one that we're writing to. Now if we run this, we will get a black screen. You see we don't have the residue of what was there before like we did last time. And black's not very nice on the eye, so we're going to go ahead and change that to cornflower blue. And what we do is after gl.clear, we're going to do gl.clearColor. And it's going to ask us for a color. Now generally what I like to do is I like to use the system.drawing color class. So we're going to do at the top again, we're going to do using system.drawing. I'm going to say color. There's that system.drawing color class. Dot cornflower blue. The reason I like system.drawing's color class is because it has a lot of preset values for different colors. Now if we run this, you see we got a cornflower blue window. Perfect. Now what we're going to want to do is we want to try drawing something to the screen rather than just one blank color. And the way we do that is we do that between two different GL calls. The first one's going to be gl.begin, and it's going to ask us for a begin mode or a primitive type. Begin mode is actually outdated now, so what we're going to use is primitive type. We're going to do primitive type dot quads. Either one will still work, but primitive type is the one that you're supposed to use now. And then the second function is going to be gl.end. The reason we used primitive type.quads is we want to draw a 4-pointed polygon. Now how we pass it vertices that we want to draw to is we do gl.vertex2, since this is going to be a 2D game. And we'll pass it an x and a y. So to begin with, we're going to do 0, 0. By default, 0, 0 on the game screen is going to be right in the center. And 1, 1 is going to be in the top right corner of the screen. So then we'll pass it 3 more of these vertex 2 calls. Second one, we'll do it at 1, 0. Third one will be at 1, -1. And the fourth one will be at -1. And so all we've done is passed 4 different points to OpenGL for it to draw. Since we haven't changed the color at all, it should default to white if we go ahead and run this. You see that we have one corner of the screen colored in white. So to represent that more clearly, what we can do is we can change these from 1 to something like 0.9f. And if we go ahead and run that, you can see that we got something a little bit more interesting. Now to change the color, it's really easy. All we have to do is before a vertex calls, we're going to do a gl.color3, and we're going to pass it another color to be color.red. And there we are. Now we have a red quadrilateral. We can change the color for each and every vertex if we want, if we change it in between here. And what we do is we do something like blue, orange, and maybe like green. And you can see that it automatically tweens between them when it's drawing that quadrilateral. Now I was going to put the texture loading and drawing in this part of the tutorial, however this part has gotten quite long. So I think I'm going to cut it here and leave that for the next part. Hope to see you there.